Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends. Oh, it is on. Ho, 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 ho. The redistricting, gerrymandering war is now on. And Trump is now going for the jugular. So, as we are now awaiting the deadline today, high noon, that the governor of Texas has now placed on all of these rogue, rebel, Democrat Texas lawmakers who have literally fled the state because they refuse to go back to the House, the state House, and vote on Texas's new redistricting plan. They are now hiding out here in Massachusetts, in Illinois, in states all around the country. The FBI is now being put on notice that they will now begin to arrest these Texas Democrat lawmakers. In fact, the arrest could actually begin happening in about 6 hours. So, as this now hangs over the country with the possibility of Texas Democrat lawmakers literally being carried out in handcuffs, President Trump now has said, I'm tired of all of this. We know the truth. The American people knows the truth. And it's time that I spoke the truth. And so, yesterday, he now publicly ordered the Department of Commerce that in the next upcoming census, that all illegal aliens will be excluded from the census. It has sent shock waves. There's no other way to describe it. Shock waves across the entire political landscape, but especially across the entire Democratic Party. To say they are going absolutely apoplectic is an understatement. They are losing their minds because now Trump is going to undo, or at least try to undo, everything the Democrats have done for decades by flooding this country with illegal aliens. And so I want to read to you exactly what Trump said. It is an historic announcement that he made, whereby, and here's what he wrote, quote, I have instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern-day facts and figures, and importantly, using the results and information gained from the presidential election of 2024, people who are in our country illegally, and now this part is all in caps, will not be counted in the census. And then, of course, he finishes the way he always does. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, under the Constitution, as most of you know, the United States is required by law, it's constitutionally mandated, to hold a census every 10 years. It doesn't say you can't have another census. In other words, you can have 2 censuses or 3 censuses, but you have to have at a minimum one every 10 years. The last one was in 2020. The next one is expected to be, obviously, in 2030. In the 2020 census, this is a very key point, the mother of all points, as Saddam Hussein would have put it. The Democrats rigged the census openly, nakedly, explicitly, irrefutably. They rigged the 2020 census to include every single illegal alien in the country, which to me is clearly unconstitutional and illegal. The census is there to take a snapshot of the number of citizens and legal residents that our country has, and then broken down state by state, and then that's how you decide political representation, whether it be in the Electoral College or in Congress, the House of Representatives in particular. No. One of the major reasons why the Democrats have been flooding our country with illegal aliens, and it's been going back decades. It's not just that they're importing Democrat voters. That's true. The more illegals they bring in, the more illegals they're able to illegally have vote. But a major reason is it artificially inflates the power of Democrats in terms of the number of seats that are given to blue states in Congress. Also, by the way, the number of seats given to them in the Electoral College when we vote for president. So, by excluding illegal aliens, well, what do you think happens? These huge, deep blue states that are inundated with illegals, the state of Illinois, the state of New York, the state of California, the state of Minnesota, the state of, yes, Massachusetts, they are going to lose up to 20 to 30 seats at a minimum. In fact, Stephen Miller, Trump's top political advisor, yesterday went on Fox News and said, let me give you the game. Here's the game. We know for sure that just by counting illegal aliens in the census, meaning giving more representation to these districts and states where Democrats have been taking advantage of this, has given the Democrats at a minimum 20 to 30 extra seats in the House. This move alone will evaporate 20, maybe even 30 Democrat seats in the House. So instead of Republicans having a +3 majority, you start implementing a proper census, they're going to have a +33 majority. It will permanently keep the Democrats out of power for generations to come because their policies are unpopular, their party is unpopular, their rule is unpopular. So what they've done is they load them up in places like Illinois, they bring in all these illegals, and then they count illegals as U.S. voters or as U.S. citizens, to be more accurate. And then you allocate the number of seats. This gives Illinois many more seats than it deserves. New York, many more seats than they deserve. California, many more seats than they deserve. Now, what's going to happen is Missouri is going to gain seats. North Carolina, West Virginia, Ohio, all of them, Montana, all of these other states, red states, with red congressional districts are going to get more seats, meaning Republicans are going to pick up seats in the House. It is going to dramatically increase Republican representation, Republican seats, Republican House members. At a minimum, you're looking at a 20 to 25 member pickup, 20 to 25 Republican pickup, just by eliminating illegals from the census. Never mind the effect on the Electoral College. Remember, this is key, the magic number, 270. California is going to lose clout. Illinois, New York, Minnesota, you can run down the whole line. And red states, like I said, Missouri, North Carolina, West Virginia, Ohio, are going to gain Electoral College votes. So it'll be even harder for Democrats to win presidential elections. For the Democrats, this is political Armageddon. And they know it. Because by doing this, Trump is now rolling back the political impact, the political power that massive, uncontrolled illegal immigration has been giving to the Democrats for the last 30 years. And when I say they are losing their minds, I mean they are losing their minds. Now, they are calling Trump, forget dictator. Now he's a king. Now he must be impeached. Now he's trying to, their words, not mine, steal the 2026 midterm election, steal the 2028 election. My friends, Trump is now challenging democratic power at its very core. Now, I want to ask all of you, I'd like to take as many calls as possible, obviously, on the other side. Should we be counting illegal aliens in our census? Should illegal aliens have political representation in Congress? I say absolutely not. The census should only take into account U.S. citizens. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I just want all of you to just sit back for a second. And I just want you to think about this, okay? According now to what we know, and there's no disputing this, by including illegal aliens in the U.S. Census, as they did completely, comprehensively, in the 2020 census. Okay, they've been doing it. They did it in 2010 to a significant degree, but in 2020 they did it to a complete degree. This has now artificially inflated Democrat House seats by at least 20, if not up to 30. Think of the difference this would be making under Joe Biden, what this would be, the difference it'd be making now under President Trump. In other words, the Democrats have been overrepresented and have artificially given themselves much more political power and much more political strength than they deserve, based on U.S. citizens and permanent legal residents. I mean, this is how dirty these Democrats are is unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. And it's given them, by the way, an unfair advantage in the Electoral College. Because it's, California now has many more Electoral College votes than it deserves. Illinois, ditto. New York, ditto. I could run down the whole list because they're counting massive populations of illegal aliens as part of their total population of the country. So that they've allowed this fraud and this abuse of power to go on for this many years, frankly, is disgusting. And that no Republican decided to push back against it? That the Republicans just lay there and took it? Year after year, hell, decade after decade? I mean, it's pathetic. Honestly, it's pathetic. And as Stephen Miller pointed out last night, what you're seeing in Texas now with this redistricting, which would add about 5 seats to the Republicans, congressional seats. So right now, the congressional delegation of Texas is 25 Republican, 13 Democrat. And by the way, Texas is a deep, deep red state. It's clear, and you look at the 2024 election, it's even deeper now than it's ever been. And yet the Democrats get 13 freaking seats, okay, in the apportionment of House seats. They get 13. Republicans get 25. Even with this redistricting, Republicans get 30. Democrats would fall to 8. Okay, so even then, Democrats still send 8. They have 8 seats. They have plenty of representation, and their voices are heard. Those 5 seats are trying to offset an ocean of fraud and abuse that the Democrats have perpetrated year after year after year after year. They've added at least 25 to 30 extra seats for themselves. Never mind what they've done to the Electoral College. And I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but this is the other part that's really disgusting. Not to bore you, but money for transportation, money for health care, money for schools, money for roads, money for basic social services and social programs It's based on a formula, a population formula. Well, guess what? The more seats you have in Congress, the more money you get when it comes to, goodies from the federal government. So the states with high levels of illegal immigrants counted in the census, high-level illegal aliens counted in the census, guess what? They get more money for transportation, more money for schools, more money for roads, more money for hospitals, more money for Medicaid, more money for health care. You see how the scam works? Well, now, here's what's going to happen. Not only are red states going to get more House seats in Congress, and not only are they going to get more votes in the Electoral College when we vote for president, but guess what? They're also going to get more money. So they've been shafting red states who have been paying more in taxes, and their constituents are not getting the money that instead, or they're getting the money is being, a lot of it is being siphoned off that should be going to these red states and these red districts, while it's being sent off to these blue states and blue districts that are loaded up with illegal aliens. You can't make this stuff up. So Trump is now saying, no, to hell with it. We're not playing by your rules anymore. And this is what's changed with Trump. This is the new Republican Party under Trump. We're not playing badminton anymore. While you play what's smash mouth football, while you guys engage in MMA cage fighting. No. We're not playing by your rules, where you set the terms of debate, where we fight on your ground. No. You rigged the 2020 census. Now Trump is saying we're going to have a new census. It's going to be a mid-decade census. And it's going to be based on accurate facts and accurate figures. It's going to be updated. And this time, illegal aliens will not be counted. They will be completely excluded. Blank you. In other words, it's going to be a fair census, an accurate census, a true census. Now, the Democrats are in a seriously bad position because either they come out and say, we agree, i.e. we should have a real census that doesn't include illegal aliens, obviously, because the census is never intended to take in data from people who are not supposed to be in our country. It's supposed to be for American citizens and, as I said, legal residents. So either they agree, which means politically they're signing now their death warrant, or they come out against Trump and then expose themselves completely to the American people for how cynical they've been. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to go to the phone lines. Before I do, there is a big initiative here at iHeart, especially here in iHeart Boston. If you have a public school teacher who's really gone above and beyond the call of duty for your children or grandchildren, for the students, someone that you know of for the students in their classroom, this is a chance to win $5,000. And this will go towards stocking that classroom with whatever they need. So please join us here at iHeart Boston in thanking a public school teacher who, as I just said, went above and beyond for their students. You can nominate your favorite teacher now. Just go to iHeartRadio.com/teachers, iHeartRadio.com/teachers. Okay. Let me set the table, and I want to go right to the phone lines. President Trump now has thrown down, in many ways, the mother of all gauntlets. He is now going to challenge the U.S. Census itself, which challenges political representation in Congress and in the Electoral College. He says illegals should not be included in the census. He is now ordering a new census, maybe even in time for the 2026 midterms, certainly in time for the 2028 presidential election, in which he says from this point forward, we are not going to have illegal aliens counted as legitimate citizens or legitimate residents of the United States. This is going to shift political power away from the Democrats to Republicans. There's no question. The only question now is how many seats? Minimum 20, maybe even up to 30 seats in Congress, in the House of Representatives. And the Electoral College, very similar. Do you support this move by President Trump? And should illegal aliens be counted in our census? No other country does it. We do. It is one of the few things that is mandated by the Constitution. We are supposed to have a census at a minimum once every 10 years. We can do it 2, 3, 4 times every 10 years. It never says you can only do it once, but it just says you must do it at least one time to keep an accurate count of people in the country and to make sure that our political representation in Congress and when you vote for president is always according to the most modern, up-to-date numbers and figures. In other words, an accurate representation of our population with all of the different states and regions we have. So, should we have illegals in our census? Should they be counted? I say absolutely not. The Democrats rigged the census in 2020. Trump has the right now to put out a more accurate and, frankly, legal census. And if it's done just in time for the 2026 midterms, even better. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Lou in Rhode Island. You're going to kick us off, Lou. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How you doing? This is a terrific topic. First of all, let's remember what happened to Rome when they let the barbarians in. That's when it fell in the 3rd century. It started to fall apart in the 3rd century when they let the barbarians in. And the Europeans are doing it now. They have the same problem with migration, and they're falling apart too. I mean, you look at England and Europe, because of the migration they're letting in all the jihadists in the country that are basically trying to take over England and Germany and much of Europe. So, I mean, this is going on in real time too in other countries, and we have the problem here now. We have definitely. I agree with you totally on the census. We should never count illegals in the census, and they should never be considered as far as like congressional districts are concerned. Absolutely, 100%. I mean, look at what we went through in the last election. I know you had somebody on prior to the election talking about voter fraud and how the NGOs were gathering up votes, and then they were going to do this massive ballot harvesting. I mean, look at the stuff we've been through over the years. Voter fraud. There's no voter ID states, so there, a lot of these illegals are going to end up voting anyway. And then there's the mail-in balloting and all this other stuff we've been through. Enough is enough. Don't you think? Enough is enough with this stuff. And
Lou, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I promise I'll give you all the time in the world to finish. But I just want you to, just for you and the audience, I just want to get your take on this. If we didn't have illegals counted in the census, which to me is absurd to begin with, think about this. Right now, the Republicans would have ballpark, 245 to 250 seats in the House of Representatives. The Democrats would be down to about 180. So we're not, now it's, what is it? It's like a 2-3 seat majority. My God, by the skin of their teeth, it's razor thin. You're looking at 245 to 185, 250 to 190. In other words, and by the way, if you look at a map, a political map, that's all that sea of red in the middle of the country, county by county, district by district. That's how much more the Republicans their support is. That's how much more popular they are than Democrats. And yet, look how they've rigged it. Look how they've abused it to the point now that almost by sheerly just having illegals counted in the census and inflating their representation in Congress, they've almost created an artificial majority in the House of Representatives. Lou, am I wrong?
Keep going further and further left and pushing people like Mandami in New York and AOC and you know, all these people, they keep going further left because they're at padding the rolls with these illegals and building up these congressional districts. And so they don't, you know, if they stopped it, maybe the Democrats would start looking, saying, we're doing something wrong. We gotta move further to the middle rather than moving further left. So they've been getting away with this scheme for years, and as you said before, the Republicans kept rolling over and over again. Now, I have a couple more points to make. Number one, the game was given away here in Rhode Island when someone asked Dan McKee about the illegal immigrants, and he said, well, what we want to do is get them licenses and work permits and put them on a fast track to citizenship. And you can even talk about what your track to citizenship is compared to what they want to do as illegals. They just want to make them citizens right away. They don't have to learn English. They don't have to do anything like learn civics or learn anything about the country or even be loyal to the country or take an oath to the country. They want to put them on a fast track to citizenship, and this is their scheme. They've had this whole long scheme that they want to do, and it's allowing them to move further to the left, like I said. And the other thing is that how did they even get here? Look at the damage they've done by coming here. They had to pay cartels to come here, and they had $10,000 a pop. The cartels made $100 billion off these illegals, and they're going to want to open the borders even more and more. Once they get those majorities in Congress, watch out. You're going to have like Biden Auto Pen Plus with the borders and all the other ridiculous stuff that they're going to bring in. And
you nailed it. No, Lou, look, in fact, Carville gave the game away. I don't know if you saw what he said yesterday, but he said, look, if we get power back, even if it's for a day, we're going to do a mass amnesty. We're going to pack the Supreme Court, and we're going to put in Puerto Rico and and Washington, D.C. estates. So we're going to give ourselves a permanent majority, political majority for 100 years. So he's giving the game away. We're packing the Supreme Court. We're going to add the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico estates, and we're going to give a mass amnesty. Everybody's going to be made a citizen overnight. So it's all about power for the Democrats. And think about it. Unless they rig it, how else can they stay in power? Okay, Trump now on the counteroffensive. Coming out now, ordering his Department of Commerce. Trust me, it may not be a quote-unquote sexy topic, but this has such profound implications, it's not even funny. President Trump has now ordered his Department of Commerce to now come up with a new census, a more modern, updated census that will exclude all illegal aliens. In the 2020 census, the last one, the Biden regime included, just prior to Biden, the census, the Commerce Department included illegals in the 2020 census. So the number of seats allocated in Congress were inflated in favor of the Democrats. They did the same thing in 2010, by the way. The more illegals, the more Democrats are apportioned seats, which gives them even more seats, more House members, to the point now that they're on the cusp of actually getting a majority, even though they have minority support in the country. Now, Trump says from this point forward, only U.S. citizens and only legal residents of the United States will be accounted in the census. In practical terms, Democrats are going to lose 25 to 30 seats in the House, Republicans are going to pick up 25 to 30 seats, and this will also affect the Electoral College. Red states are going to get more clout. They're going to get more weight. And states like California, New York, Illinois, others are going to lose their weight or some of their weight in the Electoral College, which means it's going to be harder for the Democrats to win the presidency, easier for a Republican to win the presidency. Now, this is from, you. By the way, you can text the Kuhner man, 70470, 70470. This is from 617. Jeff, holy crap. Trump now has really issued an ultimatum to the Democrats. Democrats will lose over 25 to 30 seats in Congress should there be a new census without illegal aliens. Imagine now what Trump will be able to get through Congress and what pieces of legislation he can pass. Bingo. Bingo. Remember, a 2-3 seat razor-thin majority, you got basically no breathing room. And you're at the mercy of the rhinos. You want voter integrity reform. You want a bill passing voter integrity, national ID. You've got a 240, 245, 250 Republicans controlling the House with 250, their margin 250 to 180. That's going to pass. I mean, I could, making English the official language of the United States, that'll pass. I mean, I could run down a whole list. We could have substantial, profound change in the country if we change the census to make it more accurate and then get accurate political representation in Congress. Okay, let me just read one more. This is from 603. And again, you can text the Kuhner man, 70470, 70470. Jeff, of course illegal aliens shouldn't be included in the census. Not only does it inflate the number of representatives Democrats are able to have in office, but to do so is just another way for the Democrats to legitimize the illegals that are here. Let me make this comparison. Imagine if I had robbed a bank, and instead of arresting me for the robbery and recovering the stolen money, the government instead tries making me pay taxes on the money I had stolen. Wouldn't that in fact be legitimizing my possession of the stolen money that I shouldn't even have in the first place? So how would including these people, illegal aliens, in the census, who shouldn't even be here to begin with, be any different? Brilliant. Brilliant. By including them in the census, what the Democrats were trying to say is they have a right to be here. They have a right to be counted among us. They have the right to have political representation. They have the right to have money, congressional money, federal money allocated to them regarding roads, education, schools, health care, you name it. Trump is saying, no, absolutely not. I stand with Trump. Do you? Ed in Marblehead. Thanks for holding, Ed, and welcome.
I agree with you that only U.S. citizens should be counted in the census. But here's the rub. Section 2 of the 14th Amendment states that representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. So it seems to me that we're going to have to amend the 14th Amendment or take it to the Supreme Court. And I know at lower federal level courts have always ruled in favor of the person's interpretation. It doesn't have to that the census doesn't have to include only U.S. citizens.
Well, the way we used to understand it up until very recently, persons never included illegal aliens. Remember, an illegal alien is not even supposed to be here. So what they meant by persons was, I'll give you an example, like you're a student, a foreign student. So you're here on a visa, a student visa. So, I mean, really, you're not part of the United States. I mean, of course, you're here, you're studying. But what I mean is, in theory, right, you're here for 4 years, college, and then you're heading back. Say you're from France. Let me just, give you an example. So I'm coming from France. I'm in Boston. Okay, I'm studying at whatever, MIT or whatever. I'm at one of the colleges. So I'm here for 4 years. So they're saying, okay, well, yeah, that's technically a person. So, okay, we can maybe include that in the census, even though that person won't be here technically in 4 years. They're supposed to go back. But an illegal alien was never counted. This is only something that began about 20 years ago. And that's why if you look at the congressional map, it has profoundly changed in the last couple decades. I've never seen California have this kind of power before, because now they kept counting illegal aliens. They didn't before. Illinois, ditto. New York, ditto. So I know where you're coming from. Look, many times before, the courts have ruled when it comes to the census, illegal aliens are not considered persons because they shouldn't even be here. So I would take it to the Supreme Court. I think the Supreme Court's going to uphold that 6-3. So I'm not worried about that, Ed. To be brutally honest with you, my fear is, I could play you some cuts. I just want to stick to the issue for now. I don't know. I don't want to be alarmist. I haven't seen rhetoric like this from Democrats as an historian since the late 1850s. Yeah, it's Hitler, and they've been saying it for a long time, but no, you can tell. They're losing their grip on power, and they are going ballistic. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. They're losing their minds. They're talking about violence more. They're talking about taking it to the streets. I'm going to play a cut later in the show. You've got Kathy Hochul. Now, this is the governor of New York saying now, we must stop the FBI, literally impede the FBI from arresting these Texas lawmakers. And you do it however you can do it. So now they're declaring war on the FBI, and they're trying to literally interfere with law enforcement. What I'm saying is, the rhetoric now from the Democrats is getting so inflammatory, so incendiary, and they're talking about, we're going to take it to the streets. And if we've got to ambush FBI agents, we'll ambush FBI agents. If we've got to ambush ICE agents, we'll ambush ICE agents. If we're going to have to establish no-go zones, we'll establish no-go zones. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is starting to remind me of 1857, 1858, 1859, where you're listening to the rhetoric and you're like, you realize we're going down a very dark, ugly road here. You keep pushing and pushing, you're going to tear this country apart. There's going to be real serious violence on the streets. And once that happens, there's no going back. Ed, honestly, that's my fear. They have cheated for so long. They have abused their power for so long that now when it's being taken away from them, it's like taking away heroin from a drug addict. Heroin from a heroin addict. They go crazy. And they're getting crazier and crazier and crazier. Anyway, Ed, final word to you.
Well, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, we're on the same page. And I hope you're right that if this gets put to the test by the Supreme Court, then they will rule that only citizens will be counted in the census. But this wording of the 14th Amendment, Section 2, is going to be a point of contention, and that's where it'll hinge on that, I believe.
Oh, I agree. I think that the left's going to make that argument. No, you're right, Ed. And I think what they're going to, you saw it in some of the other cases, they're going to go back to what was meant by persons when they drafted the 14th Amendment. and what the term persons meant at the time and how it's been ruled on ever since. And so, Ed, look, the argument the left, they just can't overcome it is, well, illegals were never counted until very recently. And when pressed, they said, well, they're not considered persons under the Constitution for purposes of the census. This is a very modern new invention. So they're going to have a very hard time overcoming that argument. Honestly, Ed, that doesn't worry me. That really does. I think even Roberts is going to side with the majority on this. No, my fear, Ed, is now they're talking about we're going to stop the FBI. Well, what exactly? Well, you'll see. We're going to stop the FBI. They're not going to make one single arrest of these Texas lawmakers. Or now they're openly talking, Trump is a king. We're going to have to overthrow him. I've never, outside of that Civil War context that I talked about, I've never seen anything like this. Ever in the history of the United States. Which shows to me that the left is now very afraid. Ed, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. You see, look, just super quick, because I want to go back to the phone lines. What the left is now realizing is they thought, okay, to them, this is their worst case scenario. Trump wins, which he did, and look at what he's doing, and he's securing the border, but they thought we're going to slow walk the deportations. The judges will stop them. We'll use lawfare. We'll set up sanctuary cities. We're going to riot, and we'll just slow them down and slow them down and slow them down. And then in 2026, we win back the House, and then we just impeach the hell out of the guy. In fact, Al Green even said it. Congressman Al Green, he gave the game away. He said, you know what our plan is? We're going to take back the House, and then we're going to impeach until, quote, we bring him down. So their plan is we're just going to impeach and defund defund his whole administration, investigate the hell out of him, paralyze him, and then we take back power in 2028. Now, to their shock and horror, they're realizing just with Texas alone, never mind this move on the census. Hold on. Whoa. If Texas can add 5 seats for the Republicans in the House, their majority goes from +3 to +8. That may be a hill we can't climb that hill. We may not be able to take back the House. And now you've got, they're looking at the poll numbers. They're seeing how successful Trump's policies are, how effective they are. Every prediction they've made, that the recession is coming, that the stock market's going to crash, that he's going to lead us to World War III. He was a dictator, and that people would rise up on the streets against him. All of this has failed completely. And now they're openly saying, talking about it, we're looking at J.D. Vance in 2028. Hell, we're looking at J.D. Vance Rubio in 2028 or whoever for another 8 years. We're going to be in the wilderness for a generation. And then the part that has really, really scared the living daylights out of them. And now they're hunting down Brennan and Clapper and Comey and the Hildebeest. You've got this Tulsi Gabbard who won't let this thing go. And all of our crimes are going to be exposed. And they're going to destroy the Democratic Party. So they've never faced this kind of a counteroffensive, this kind of pushback ever. It's like a bully. We're not just punching him in the face once. It's now blow after blow after blow. The bully doesn't know what to do. 617-266-6868. And this one, you get a real census without illegal aliens? And the country gets, whoa, what's this? What? The Democrats had inflated their vote count in the House of Representatives by 30 freaking seats? That's how much more of a majority the Republicans actually have? And then what? The Democrats are going to turn around and say, yeah, you should include illegals? It's almost checkmate. Trump, as I said, Trump has cut them off at the pass. And, and by the way, it's a vindication of everything you, this great audience, and the Kuhner man, what we together have been saying for I don't know how many years. You don't win if you don't punch back. Like, what are you afraid of? The Democrats play offense all the time. Why don't we go on offense? Try it. You may win. 617-266-6868. Rich in Natick. Thanks for holding, Rich, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi,
you
Rich.
just hit it on. You just hit it on the head right at the end there. We have to go on offense. It's got to stop folding like a cheap lawn chair. I mean, this. I didn't realize that they gained 30 seats in the last census. They shouldn't allow illegals. It makes no census. But one of your other thoughts. Just got that. But your previous caller, he was spot on too. Like in the wording, I don't know what it says exactly in the wording. Does it say all American citizens, or does it say all people? They have to change the wording so that they can't play word trickery and try to get what they want. For them it's a win-win because they get the extra seats by allowing all these illegals in, but they also don't have to fundraise on it because they're using the American taxpayers' money to bring all these people in and put them on government assistance. So.
Oh, I agree. And then the big one is they also look. That's an endless supply of votes if they need it. To me, that's their ace in the hole, that they can activate, what is it? I don't know, millions and millions and millions of illegals to vote, especially if you have mail-in balloting. Once you have mail-in balloting, forget it. I mean, the possibilities for voter fraud and corruption are almost limitless. Now, by the grace of God, we won the last election only because Biden so ran the country into the ground. I mean, just so mismanaged and bungled it and really destroyed our country. I mean, in all seriousness. Now, I'm not saying that just for a, dramatic effect. He really was destroying the United States. And there was such opposition that we just overwhelmed them at the polls. But really, Rich, I keep saying this over and over again. It's now or never. We've got 3.5 years, and Trump knows that. Notice the way Trump is governing. Every day, it's the pedal to the metal. And it's not, look, he was very aggressive in his first term, very energetic. He worked his rear end off. Okay, he worked his butt off. But not like this. He's like a man on a mission. You can see that. He's a man on a mission. And he doesn't have a day to waste, doesn't have an hour to waste. And I go back to Butler. To me, everything goes back. To understand this new Trump, you have to understand what Butler did to him, what happened in Butler. He, by the skin of his teeth, by literally the hand of God, the grace of God, and he knows this. He said it many times. He goes, God saved my life that day. I should be dead. And meeting his maker, he's been spiritually, morally, personally transformed. And he said, look, God saved me to save this country. And it's almost as if he made a pact with the Lord in which I'm going to save my country. If I don't save my country, it's like I'm failing you, the good Lord. You saved my life for a reason, for a purpose. If I don't fulfill this purpose, it's almost like I've spat in the face of God. I've slapped God in the face. I know it sounds a little, but I'm just telling you, you can see it on him. And everybody, his closest, I know they're telling me this, his closest aides say he's a different man. Everybody that works with him, he's a different man. He's different from the first term. Not that he was bad, far from it. But we've never seen anything like this. He is laser focused. The term they use is relentless. It's relentless. And he's pushing everybody. He won't take no for an answer. Push, 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 push. And you look, 6 months in, look at him. He's single-handedly practically breaking the Democratic Party. And he's going for the throat. The census is going for the jugular of the Democratic Party. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very quick, because I want to go right back to the lines are on fire. 617-266-6868. I think many now can sense that the political ground is shifting beneath our feet. And it's shifting in favor of Trump, in favor of MAGA, and really now decisively against the Democrats. Now, we'll see. It's still early. We're only 6 months into Trump's presidency. But there's no question now. The Democrats are on the ropes. Now, this may even have implications here in Massachusetts. You exclude illegal aliens from the census. Ho, 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 ho. It's not just going to reduce the number of seats, whether, New York, California, Illinois. I look at Massachusetts, there's a lot of areas. Boston itself, full of illegals. Somerville, Quincy, Mattapan, Dorchester. I could go on and on. Lawrence. You start looking at a lot of these areas. This is going to really impact congressional representation for Massachusetts. And not only may it cost Massachusetts a seat or two, but with the redistricting that they've done, you take away illegals, and suddenly now the Republicans have a chance to pick up a seat or two, again, with decent, smart leadership, okay? So you have to get rid of the people that are running the Mass GOP, but let that go. The point being, this changes things even in Massachusetts, because they've been relying on illegals to inflate their numbers as well. And that's why it's going to, it's going to affect Washington State. It's going to affect Oregon. It's going to affect Minnesota. It's going to affect, and some of these states like Wisconsin that are more like 50-50 states, these purplish states are now going to go red because of this. So when I say this is going to transform the political landscape, and what Trump did yesterday sent shockwaves across the political landscape, that's not an overstatement. The Democrats know you take away illegal aliens from the census, meaning you take it away from their political representation, and they're a minority party, and a minority party in almost every part of the country. 617, with the exception of a few pockets. But for the most part, they're on the run. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree? Paul in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome.
Hello?
Hi, Paul. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. Oh, I'm telling you, the Democrats know how to cheat in Texas, don't they? Not only that, but they get out of Dodge. And it's like they're holding Texas hostage. But more and more the truth is being exposed for who they really are. Who are they backing? The people of this country or illegal aliens? Really, that's what really is the point here. And they know how to cheat, but they're sore losers when they lose. They're losing their minds.
Paul, in your lifetime, I'm just curious, have you ever seen Democrats in this kind of a panic?
Not in my lifetime, not in my 60 years. Come on. They're supposed to be representatives of this country, serving their needs of their constituents. But instead, they're doing just the opposite. They're just, and they're not the majority anymore in the House or in the Senate. So what do they end up doing? They end up taking fits and acting like more their shoe size than their age. I mean, it's just, their conduct is unbecoming. It really is.
Oh, that's very well said. Honestly, Paul, it's very well said. And I got to say, to me, it's just remarkable. I mean, we're so used now to the Democrats throwing these childish temper tantrums and, as they say, Dems behaving badly. Okay. They keep lowering the bar. We're almost becoming desensitized to it. But I just, to everybody out there, not just you, Paul, the whole audience, just stand back. Just for a second, just stand back. You have 50 state lawmakers, Democrats, led by the House Minority Leader, okay, from Texas, that are holed up in hotel rooms across the country. Like, really, it's like, as Paul put it, they fled Dodge. Like bandits. No, really, like outlaws on the run. They abandon their posts, their seats. They're supposed to represent their constituents. They literally flee the state. They can't do anything. The state legislature is now literally paralyzed. So it's been Monday. It started. Today's Friday. Okay. All week, they can't do a thing. The business of government is now literally, it's paralyzed. There are now warrants for their arrest. The FBI is now going to hunt them down. Like they're like, I don't know, fugitives, like they're common, like they're bank robbers. And they're saying, this is the Democrat response. We're not just going to hide in Illinois because then it's easy to find all of us. So we're going to fan out across the country. So Maura Healey, our governor, says she's shielding several of them. Hochul says she's shielding several of them. Newsom says he's shielding several of them. And I'll play you the cut on the other side because you're going to say, Jeff, come on. You've got to be exaggerating for a dramatic effect. Hochul now says, if the FBI tries to arrest them, we will stop the FBI. We're going to ambush the FBI. You're leaving your seats. You've abandoned the state. You're fleeing across the country. You're hiding out in undisclosed hotels and motels with the police, trying to arrest you because you won't do your freaking job. Over 5 seats. 5. They've stolen 30 that we know of. 30. With the illegal aliens being in the census. Texas says, we're just going to even it out just a little bit. And by the way, they gerrymander, the Democrats. California, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very, very quickly, join us here at iHeart Boston in thanking a public school teacher who went above and beyond for their students. Nominate an outstanding public school teacher, and they can win up to $5,000 to stock their classroom with whatever they need. So you can nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers, iHeartRadio.com/teachers. Okay, let me ask all of you. Here's a clip from Newt Gingrich. And look, Newt is, former House Speaker, led the Republican Revolution of 1994, has written, I don't know how many best-selling books, agree or disagree, very smart, very perceptive, very acute political strategist. Listen now to what Newt is saying. If you look at his achievements, if you look at Trump's accomplishments, if you look at the incredible number of things that he's accomplished, along now with his maximum pressure campaign against the Democrats, where he is doing everything in his power to weaken them politically and to go after and dismantle the deep state. If you look at it in totality, Newt says we are looking now at a president and a level of success unrivaled since George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Roll cut 12, Mike.
You have this rock standing in the middle of history called Donald J. Trump, and he's saying, you want to do it my way or you want to be crushed? I prefer you do it my way, but, if you have to be crushed, it's okay. And so rational people like Tim Cook are going, oh, gee, do I want to do it the way the president wants, or would I like to be crushed? And they go, I've always wanted to be part of the team. And you're seeing this happen not just in the United States, but you're seeing it happen all around the world. I mean, the Saudis show up and say, could we buy $400 billion of Boeing airplanes? And by the way, could we also invest $400 billion in the United States to create new jobs? And Trump graciously says, that'd be fine. I'm so grateful. And then he goes to the next city and the next country, and they say the same thing. I mean, this is the most, I think he's really now moving, if he can sustain this, he's moving into a league that other than Washington and Lincoln, nobody has gotten the level of energy, drive, effectiveness that we're seeing with Trump.
I agree. Energy, drive, effectiveness. As I said, this relentlessness, this pedal to the metal strategy. I've never seen anything like it. Now, it has the Democrats in a full-blown panic. So I want you to listen now, and then I promise I'm going to go to the phones. This is Kathy Hochul. She's helping, along with Healy, along with Newsom, along with Pritzker, okay? She is helping to hide out some of these fleeing, really outlaw Texas state Democrats. Listen to her now, because FBI Director Kash Patel has said, I spoke with Governor Abbott. They have a noon deadline today. And yes, Texas is going to send some marshals to go arrest them, but the FBI will be joining them. We're going to be coordinating. And Texas will bring these, we're going to arrest them, and we're going to bring them back to the state of Texas. Listen now to Hochul. Roll cut 11, Mike.
So, Governor, just to underscore something Michael said, there is no federal crime that all of a sudden these agents are getting involved in. Let's say, though, it puts you on a collision course with the FBI. What do you do then?
First of all, I have a lot of respect for the FBI, but I guarantee there are far more important pursuits that they should be engaging in, like human trafficking, breaking up drug cartels, stopping terrorist attacks here in New York City. So I think this is an abuse of the power of the FBI to direct them to go after duly elected officials in the United States of America. If we've fallen that far, that makes our fight even more important, that all people stand up and say, we're not going to let you take away our democracy, and you're not going to hunt down our elected officials.
Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. We're not going to let them hunt down these officials? By the way, that's not your call to make. You're the freaking governor of New York. It's not your job to tell the FBI what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. And by the way, coming from her and any Democrat, they should be going after human traffickers. They should be going after the drug cartels. Really? After you let them pour into our country under Biden for 4 freaking years? Like, seriously, this woman who has a sanctuary state, New York under her is a sanctuary state, flooded, overrun with illegals and human traffickers and the cartels. I should be going after them. You phony, you fraud, you. So, what are you going to do? What, you're going to order, what, New York State Police to what? Shoot at FBI agents? What are you going to do? Have them form a human shield or a wall of law enforcement, state and local law enforcement, to protect these Texas Democrats in some hotel so the FBI can't arrest them? No, I'll tell you what they're panicking, because now that Texas is about to redistrict, suddenly now we're not taking back the House. You see, New York can gerrymander, but Texas can't. Illinois can gerrymander, but Texas can't. Massachusetts can gerrymander, but Texas can't. So, no, they're melting down. They're in a full-blown panic. And I'm telling you, I hope to God, I'm serious. Please, as Clint Eastwood would have said, okay, in Dirty Harry, go ahead, make my day. Go ahead, make my day. I dare you to impede FBI agents. I dare you. Because then they should arrest your ass. 617-266-6868. Okay, let me ask you. Are we now seeing a presidency on the scale of Lincoln and Washington? Is Newt Gingrich correct? And more importantly now, should the FBI make arrests? Should these fleeing state Democrat Texas lawmakers, should they be arrested? I say yes. What say you? Brooks in North Carolina. Thanks for holding, Brooks, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Brooks.
You did such a fantastic job about weaving all of this together into what, really is lining up as Trump's legacy. Could there ever be a better American comeback story? It is providential, and I love the way you talked about how Butler, clearly must have influenced his life, and bravo to that. Jeff, what we're seeing is he's getting control of the agencies back, and so, he's got a foundation of control now. And isn't it a beautiful thing to watch these Democrats who destroyed our families, destroyed our economic viability? It was such a shameful, dark experience that we lived through when they stole the 2020 election, and we are seeing God's hand in this. It is like a David and Goliath. It is like the book of Daniel. Spiritually, we are on a battle, Jeff, a battle of good and evil, and I tell you, I double down on what Newt Gingrich stated, and God bless you for playing it. We are looking at something that is so powerful, and I definitely feel Trump is being protected by the Lord. He's gaining control of these agencies, and these Democrats are getting exactly what they gave to us in tenfold. And so, yes, I definitely feel the momentum is building, and we're there's so much happening all at once right now. And Pam Bondi, finally lit the fuse to the firecracker. And so isn't that exciting?
Well, Brooks, I agree with you. There's a sense now, you can feel it in the country. There's a momentum, there's a shift, there's a decisive change and a turn. And I think today, really high noon, Texas style, I think you're going to see arrests. Really, I think for the first time, you will see arrests. Okay, let me ask all of you, Kuhner Country. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Again, Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Will a census show, this new census now that Trump has ordered, will a new U.S. Census show an increase in Democrats or Republicans? A, Democrats, B, Republicans. Again, it's the poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Will a census show an increase in Democrats or Republicans? A, Democrats, B, Republicans. You know where I stand. I think this is, I think it's going to be a huge boon. We're looking at probably at least 24 extra seats for Republicans in the House of Representatives. But that's me. I want to hear from you. So I'm a B all the way on this one. You can vote on our webpage, WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner. K-U-H-N is in National ER. You can also vote via X, my handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhner. Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Hey, happy Friday, buddy.
Mark, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. You're enjoying the sunshine, all this climate change. It's fantastic. Love it. I love it. Sunny and warm. And right now, none of that Canadian smoke is blocking out the sun. I thought they stopped dealing with us, but they keep sending us their trash and their smoke. Hey, listen, you were saying earlier about the left and the violence, and I gotta say, Jeff, if the Supreme Court goes and says that, we're not going to count the illegals, you are going to see violence on an unprecedented level, Jeff. All these groups like La Raza and BLM and Antifa and all them, they're going to take the streets and they're going to burn everything, Jeff. You think those LA riots with a few cars on fire waving their Mexican flags was bad? Wait till these 20 million troops that Biden brought in over the last 4 years, decide to rally now and start doing what they totally planned to do in the first place, which was all those military-aged men they let cross the borders over the last 4 years are going to take to the streets, and they're going to attack everybody and anybody that gets in their way, Jeff. It's going to be chaos. And then when you listen to these clowns like Hochul, the FBI should be concentrating on human traffickers. Well, they had one, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, clearly a human trafficker, but you all supported him. You all called him a good man and a Maryland father and blah, blah, blah. So even when you do apprehend human traffickers, they fight for their rights, Jeff. They get in the way and they demand you let them go. These people, if it weren't for double standards, Jeff, they'd have no standards whatsoever. It's just sickening.
Oh, that's a great point. That is a really good point, Mark. Mark, I want to ask you this, and I don't know, we do have a lot of Democrats. They won't admit it, but they do listen to this show. And so, in a way, I'm kind of asking you as a way to, I don't know, maybe try to educate them, inform them, enlighten them. Hopefully one or two will be saved. But this is my question. It's clear what the big change is under Trump. The reason why the Republicans are the majority party. I'm simplifying it, but essentially this is what it is. That under Trump, the Republicans have become the workers' party. They're the party of the middle class, the working class. The Democrats under Obama, and especially under Biden, but it began really with Obama, are the party of the elites and of illegals. So obviously, if you're the party of the elites and illegals, while the Republicans now have clearly become the pro-worker party, the Republicans are going to be the majority. I mean, it's just common sense. It's like saying, it's hot today. It's like you saying the sky is blue. The sun is shining. Why don't Democrats just change their policies? You're right. They're going to burn. They're going to riot. They're going to loot. They're going to have the mother of all meltdowns. But why not just return to their roots? FDR, Harry Truman, John F. Kennedy, in which they were a pro-worker, working-class party. In other words, they don't have to burn the country down. Just change your policies, change your approach, adopt policies that benefit actual working, Americans, and you can be the majority party again. Why won't they do that, Mark?
All right, so the first problem, Jeff, is that for probably, 30, almost 40 years, the Democrats have been so invested in this stuff, and they've been allowed to get away with everything. You've had these, these mealy-mouthed, wishy-washy Republicans like Bush and Romney and McCain, who've all said, oh, we have to reach across the aisle and find common ground with them. And oh, we don't want people to think that we're bad people, so we're going to let the Democrats do what they want. So they've been getting their way for a long time, Jeff. And we finally have a president that's sitting up and saying, you know what, enough. We're not doing this crap anymore. We're going to put an end to this garbage, and we're going to start pushing through things that really help the American people. You know, look at what Trump did at the Oval Office. He had that chart up, you know, and he showed over Biden's 4 years, the lower income people and more of the middle class lost money. And the only people that made money and increased their wealth were the richest people. That's who they service, Jeff. They need to get these illegals on the voter rolls because they're losing millions of people every year because of the policies that they endorse. Nancy Pelosi's on camera saying, if we get power, we're going to get back to providing gender-affirming care. They want to cut off the body parts of children. They are so over the edge with this fanatical leftist insanity, Jeff, that they don't see any way of ever coming back from that. And truthfully, I hope they keep going further and further left. These people, Jeff, are bat crap crazy, and the more we can highlight it and the more Trump can talk about this stuff and put out there just these lunatics that are out there running this party like Crockett and AOC and Ilhan Omar and these people that just hate this country for all that it's worth. But, Jeff, I'm going to tell you right now, if they start not counting these people, you're going to see this push from the Democrats into the media, and it's going to be just like in the 1800s. They're not counting minorities. They don't view people of color as persons. It's just like with slavery, Jeff. They viewed black people as not being persons. Now they're viewing brown people as not being persons, Jeff. They don't want to count them because they fear the minorities, Jeff.
You're saying they're going to go for the race card. And
well, of course they will.
And they're going to incite and inflame. And if need be, you're saying they're going to burn this country down. In other words, you will see real violence if the Supreme Court upholds Trump's push now to get illegals excluded from the U.S. Census. Is that your concern now, Mark?
Yep, 110%, Jeff. And I think that everybody that believes in this nation and loves this nation, you know, and I hate to say it, but you need to protect yourselves, protect your family, protect your neighbors, because these people are going to go out of their minds, Jeff. If you start stripping away their power and their grip that they have on the voting blocks and on the House seats and all this, and if you start making it actually count the way it should and taking away all their little sneaky tricks that they have, they're going to go out of their minds, Jeff. They're going to be insanely violent. There are going to be cities burning. And if it pours into the suburbs, all I got to say is good luck to them if they come up into my area, because people around me don't mess around.
Mark, as always, I love it when you call in. Provocative. And to me, you've been right so many freaking times that honestly, you make me nervous when you call. Because if you tell me, Jeff, you're getting a heart attack next week, I'm getting you life insurance. You know what I'm saying, Mark? You know, Mark, how does my health look like? What do you see in the future, Mark?
I want you to take care of yourself, and I think as long as you're towing that line, buddy, and you're doing the right thing, you're going to live a long, fruitful life, Jeff, and you and I can look back on this, and we can laugh, and we can watch these people just descend into madness as they cry and boo-hoo and just throw their hands in the air like a 2-year-old not getting a cookie.
Amen. Amen. Mark, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for that call. He's completely right. I'm telling you, he's completely right. By the way, just very quick, I want to do caller of the week, but just before I do, he mentioned Pelosi. Okay? Now, he's right. This is why they keep losing millions and millions of voters every year. That's why they're the minority party now. That's why they need the illegals. That's why without the illegals, they're politically finished. Here's Pelosi. Okay, now, what is she now? 84, 85 years old? She can barely talk. She's mumbling, stumbling. And this is what, if we get back to power, what are we going to do? Here it is. Here it is. Here's Pelosi. Roll cut 13, Mike. All right, Mike, we're getting technical difficulties. Mike says he's getting the spinning wheel of death. Mike will work on that and we get it fixed. But in essence, she says, oh no, we're gonna restore gender affirming care, i.e., for children. In other words, we're going to mutilate the body parts of kids. Oh, no, no, no. Breast removal, genital mutilation, puberty blockers, chemical castration for, 11, 12, 13-year-olds. That's at the top of our agenda.
How is your office responding to the pauses in gender affirming care here in California?
Well, that is something that I'm working for at the national level, and we have, how can I say, are hoping that we can have gender affirming care for our trans kids, and that it's a sad thing for us. I'm not totally. I don't know what effect we can have nationally with what we have going on in the White House and in the Congress. It's really very sad. If you were there, outside our door, we have a trans flag. Outside of our door in the office, congressional office building, we have the trans flag, as do some of our other colleagues.
So, look, my point is it's Mark's point, and he's dead on. They keep going further and further left, and they're the party of elites. That's what this is. And, of course, illegals, because they need the illegals. Otherwise, they're finished. But this is very much now an elitist party. They're wedded to Hollywood. They're wedded to Wall Street. They're wedded to this insane LGBTQ plus left. So their issues now are further and further away from the mainstream of American society. So who would vote for this party? Like, what normal person would vote for this party? No. That's why. Look, I'm not saying this to nitpick at Trump or quibble with Trump or undermine Trump. I'm just being honest. Yeah, he's a brilliant leader, no question. He's got brilliant policies, no question. But not everything is Trump's success. Like everything in life, his opponents are also blowing themselves up. Yes, a lot of it is what Trump is doing and his accomplishments and his achievements, no question. But part of it is also, look at his opposition. I mean, they're committing political hiri-kiri. I mean, if you're Trump, you're like, keep going. Okay, yeah, Nancy, you keep talking. Yep. All right, yeah, okay, yeah, puberty blockers for 11-year-olds. Yep, okay, yep. Oh, breast removal for 12-year-old girls. You do it, Nancy. Yep, you fly that trans flag outside your office. You do that. So in a way, Trump has been blessed with his enemies. I mean, they persecute him. There's no question. But man, are they stupid. They're just stupid. Like, you can't be more stupid than this. And I think Mark hit the nail on the head. As I said, look, all you have to do, if I was a Democrat, not that I ever would be, but if I was a Democrat, I'd look around and I'd say, ladies, gentlemen, guys, look at the pictures on the wall. Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, John F. Kennedy, hell, even Lyndon Baines Johnson, Jimmy Carter. I know he's a one-termer, but still. Hell, even Bubba, even Bill Clinton. We used to be seen as the party of the working class. We used to be seen as the party that tried to help people in the middle of the country. Look at us now. It's transgenderism. It's open borders. It's endless war. It's radical feminism. And it's illegal. Even human traffickers like that Maryland family man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We're defending freaking human traffickers. We're defending Trenda Aragua. Like, hello, what are you all on drugs? And you wonder why we're getting our asses kicked? Really, you wonder why we're getting killed politically? That we need illegals or else we're going to be finished? Like, how about we go back to some of the older policies? Hell, how about this? Why don't we advocate for tariffs? Huh? Why don't we advocate for tax cuts for middle working class people? Huh? Hey, how about we say we're going to secure the border? Like, in other words, how about we say, no, we're going to end endless wars. We're not for constant war. And we're going to protect American taxpayer money and not give it away foreign aid, hundreds and hundreds of billions to Ukraine down a rabbit hole. Like, we can co-opt some of Trump's issues and get some of his voters to come back for us. Nope. 40 years they've invested in this. So now they're going down with the Titanic. Well, now go down with the Titanic. All right. 8-ish. I should have done it a couple minutes ago, but let that go. 8 o'clock-ish. You know what that means. Kuhner's call log, caller of the week.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Gary.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've written a little bit of a ditty for Jasmine Crockett this morning, and I wanted to sing it for you, Jeff. Of course, you talked about Davy Crockett, but this is Jasmine Crockett. And it goes something like this. Born in the swamp of the Democratic side, lie with no luck, just ego and pride. She's selling on TikTok, makes no sense. I'm in her head by way of free rent. Jasmine Crockett, queen of the soundbite crew, talking about the wigs and throwing a fit. Can't pass a bill, she sure likes to sit. Well, and continues with a mic in hand, saying things that no one understands. Jasmine Crockett, wild on the house floor too.
Report between 6 and 10 a.m. And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. I got to tell you, that was a very funny call. Absolutely hilarious. But that jingle at the end that Mike played about, from the Davy Crockett show, it brings back memories. It really, really does. When I was a little kid, I loved that show. Oh, every Saturday morning, I loved that show. 617-266-6868 is the number. John in Peabody. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Oh, powerful Kuhners. How
John,
you doing,
how are you, buddy?
What's happening?
I got to tell you, I'm really enjoying this, John.
Well, Jeff, let me get right down to the nitty-gritty on how the Democrats, stepping back about the citizenship for a minute here, or the censorship. You see, in the legal sense, the Americans basically know that the censorship in this United States is based on what you get in the mail. They ask how many are in the household, who resides here, who has a job, Social Security number, has identity. The Democrats look at anybody who touches American soil. They look at bodies. So, in other words, for example, say by chance there was a major flood here in the United States, and 1,000 people died in that flood. And the census of the people who were in that flood, 20% were foreigners. Well, the Democrats would look at them and say, oh, those are American citizens. They died here on the American soil. So basically, when the Democrats use the media as to power their loopholes, that's where they lose. And this is where they look like 10-year-old idiots, because they always find loopholes to, like I said, to gain any type of power with voting and any type of people to back them. And they'll basically use just bodies. They won't use the legal sense of stating that, people who came here to this country to work, to build this country, and they've earned identity. Most of these people who have identities, most of these foreigners, they don't even have their real names. I go on Facebook, and the people I know, say, for instance, hypothetically, I know Jose. I go on Facebook, he uses his name as Etzna, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? So, again, like I said, we don't even know who half these people are, or whether or not we're even dealing with the same people, because they change their names as they move about. So, again, the proper understanding of censorship and citizenship in the American ideal is that when you are As I said, you were.
No, you're right. Look, you're a citizen. 617-266-6868 is the number. Just to bounce off of what John was saying, previous caller, about illegal aliens and foreigners being in our country and should they be counted as quote-unquote persons in our census. Here, let me just ask all of you, okay? Say I decide to go to any country. Take your pick. I don't care. Mexico, France, Portugal, whatever. And I go in illegally. Literally, I sneak into the country. I just, across the border, I smuggle myself in. And then all of a sudden now, I'm in that country. I just think about it. And now I go around and say, well, you got to give me housing. Like state, taxpayer funded, paid housing. The citizens there, you owe me an apartment. And you owe me free health insurance. And of course, you got to pay for my food. And if I have children or whatever, well, you're going to pay for their education. And of course, you got to pay me $3,000-$4,000 a month. I'm not going to live on, I'm not going to go begging on the streets. You owe me $3,000-$4,000 spending money. What do you think they would say? They say, get the hell out, man. What do we owe you? We don't owe you a thing. Then on top of that, I say, no. Not only do you owe me all of this, you owe me representation in your parliament. Political, no, whatever member, whatever, however you do it in your country, your political representation. No, I have to be represented. And if I'm not represented, you're a freaking racist. Now you tell me, does that, and by the way, and really you should give me the right to vote. You should give me the right to vote because you know what? I have a job on the side. I do a little work on the side. So for this, you owe me everything, plus a green card, permanent residency, and then eventually in a couple of years, you should give me citizenship. Now, what do you think they would say? Say, buddy, get out of here. That's literally what the Democrats are advocating and have been for decades in our country. It's beyond disgusting. My point is, when you smuggle yourself into a country and enter illegally, in terms of, legally, you're nothing. You're nothing. What are you? You're not. Their answer would rightfully be, you shouldn't even be here. Do you understand? You're not even coming in as a freaking tourist. If you come in as a tourist, then we let you in for a week or whatever, 10 days. And, tourists spend money. Tourists go to hotels. They go to restaurants, whatever. They add value to the local economy. They contribute, but they're welcomed in for a certain period of time, conditioned upon the fact you're going to leave, right? You're not going to be a burden to us forever. So you want to visit our country? Great. We welcome you. Have a great time. Just obey our laws. And the more money you spend, the better, because that's better for us. But, if you're here for 2 weeks, then it's 2 weeks and you're gone, or a week or 10 days or whatever. 2 weeks is not the rest of your life. Okay? But they're not even coming in on a freaking tourist visa. I mean, I know some overstay their visas, but for the most part, the overwhelming majority of illegals in our country, they just snuck in across the border. They just literally just waltzed on in. And we're supposed to cater everything to them? I mean, just from a moral, ethical point of view, it's insulting. So no, legally, they're non-entities. They're nothing. We don't owe them anything, and they should leave. And they certainly shouldn't be counted in the census. Now, one last point. All of you need to hear this. Until Joe Biden, remember, they rigged the 2020 census to now take account of all illegals in the country. So they counted illegals. Until Joe Biden, it was estimated at a bare minimum, this is the lowest figure they have, there are 11 million illegals in the country. This was in circa 2020. They say, most of them say it's more like 22 million. This was, again, Joe Biden, before Joe Biden. So we're looking at 11 to 22 million. Most likely 20, 22 million. Now, Biden has let in another 15 to 20 million just in 4 years. He basically doubled the illegal alien population in our country in 4 years. Now, just do the math. 20 million plus 20 million, give or take a few million, is 40 million. 40 million illegal aliens in our country. 40 million. Do you know that's the size of most countries in the world? 40 million. That's the entire population of Canada. Just to give you an example. That's what the Democrats have imported into our nation. Now, that's 40 million on welfare, 40 million on Medicaid, 40 million getting free housing or free rent, 40 million on EBT, 40 million we have to educate. I could just go on. And that's 14 million that are being represented artificially in Congress by Democrats. Take away 40 million, and the Democrats will never see political power for a generation. That's why Stephen Miller came out yesterday and said, look, this is they've artificially inflated their numbers in the House of Representatives by a minimum of 25 to 30 seats. Minimum. That's why the Democrats now are absolutely going ballistic. You don't count the illegals in the census. And my friends, the Republicans will dominate Congress for a generation to come. Now, think about that. What country can survive that many illegals? Never mind the crime. Never mind the fact that you don't hear English spoken. Never mind the drugs. Never mind all the other problems that come with it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, join us here at iHeart Boston in thanking a public school teacher who went above and beyond for their students. Right now, nominate an outstanding public school teacher, and they will win $5,000 to stock their classroom with whatever they need. You can nominate your favorite teacher right now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers, iHeartRadio.com/teachers. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me throw this log on the fire. If we have ballpark an illegal alien population, 35 million, 38 million, 40 million, 42 million, that's what we're kind of looking at, all right? 20 million before Biden, and then another 18 to 20 that Biden has allowed into the country. So we don't know exactly how many illegal aliens we have, but it's a lot, okay? It's definitely plus 30 million, and a lot of people think it's around 40 million. As I said, give or take a few million. With 40 million illegals in our country, you know my position. Deport every single one of them. Out. Every single one of them. To the last person. Every single one of them. But I want to ask you, is it realistic to want all of them deported? I'm just throwing it out there. The sheer numbers, the sheer volume of people that we now have living in the shadows in our country, does it make it almost impossible to do a complete deportation? And furthermore, when you have 40 million illegal aliens, let's say Trump is able to deport 1 million a year with Homan and ICE around the clock. Just do the math. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, and then Trump is gone. He's out of office. That still leaves about, what, 36, 35, whatever the number is, million illegal aliens left. Are we going to need another 8 years of JD and maybe even another 8 years of whoever succeeds JD? In other words, are we going to need about 20 years of MAGA rule to really do a proper mass deportation? In other words, I know Trump is a great president, there's no question, but can even he deport 40 million out of our country within 3.5 years? I don't even think that's logistically possible. So, again, you know my position, deport all of them. But what I'm saying is in terms of being realistic of what he can achieve and not achieve. And I think this is why Trump, knowing the scale of the numbers, just the sheer volume of the numbers, has said, let's get the worst of the worst first. Let's get the murderers, the rapists, the child molesters, the human traffickers, the gangbangers, the drug dealers, the cartels. In other words, get the worst out first. Because even among the worst, there are millions of them in our country. And that, at least, I know I can achieve by the end of my term. Agree, disagree, I want to hear from you. 617-266-6868. Rocco on the North Shore. Thanks for holding, Rocco, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Yeah, I'm hoping for 50. Good morning. I'm hoping for 50 plus years of Republican rule for what they've done. And this is so great right now, what Governor Abbott and President Trump are going to do. They've got him in a checkmate position. There's nothing they can do. This is going to be a walk-off home run. This little spotlight they put on these guys are running from like at high noon today, it's just going to show how illogical and how unfair they've been. And Jeff, I'd like to just do a quick couple quotes of what's going on. One from Senator Susan Collins and the other from Bubba. This is Senator Susan Collins. I may sound like a billy goat, but I'm really a rhino.
Do Bill Clinton. Do a Bubba, Rocco.
Oh, Jeff, we in trouble now, man. We's in big trouble. The Democratic Party, the deep state, we gonna take a whooping like Chris Rock from Will Smith.
Rocco, honestly, your imitations are hilarious. Rocco, thank you very much for that call. I really, really appreciate it. Look, honestly, that's why I can't wait for noon today. Bring out the popcorn, baby. You know, I mean, some of them now are going to start getting arrested. And these rogue Democrat Texas lawmakers. And good. And I think the image of them getting arrested, contrary to what people think, you know, he's a dictator, Trump's arresting his opponents. No. It's going to, the Democrats are going to be seen for the radical extremists, honestly, the outlaws, the criminals that they are. And I think it's going to get people used to the fact, why aren't more of them in jail? Like, why aren't more of them being arrested? It's not this big taboo. Notice you can arrest Republicans. You can put Trump in an orange jumpsuit. You can do a mugshot of him. It's okay to arrest Republicans. It's never okay to arrest Democrats. Suddenly that Rubicon is going to be crossed. And I think in the eye of the public, they're going to say, the sky hasn't fallen. Yeah, Democrats can go to jail too. 617-266-6868. Roslyn in Florida. Thanks for holding, Roslyn, and welcome.
Hey, I'm on. Hello?
Hi, Roslyn. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Okay. This is the first time I've called. I listen to you every morning. I do come from Boston, but I moved to New York with my husband. I'm a Bostonian. And I saw on Laura last night, they had the woman that was beaten up in Cincinnati.
Yes.
was so bad. I was furious. I can't believe that they never took the woman to the hospital. And they never took a statement down. They never took nothing down. And I mean, and then the police said, "Oh, it was just an incident that happened." And I don't know what's going on there. It was pretty bad, and I hate the Democrats. I am a Trumper all the way. I love Trump, and I love you too, in a non-sexual way. Because how I got to listen to you, I visited my sister in Boston, and I listened up there when I was up there, and I didn't know I could get it here, but I can get you here on my Google, and I listen to you every morning. And these Democrats, I can't wait for high noon too. And this is, as I say, this is the first time I've called. I've tried. I say every day I'm going to call, and today, after what I heard last night, I wanted to call you.
Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you for calling, and please don't be a stranger. Call again. You're always welcome to call. I don't want to get too off track, but you're right. Look, that was a racial hate crime. That was black on white racial hate. That's what happened in Cincinnati. No one else in the media has the guts to say it. I'm going to say it. You can see the video. The video doesn't lie. What was it? 10, 12, pack of youths. Mostly they were younger people, men and women, who targeted, they were people of color, they were black, who deliberately targeted 2 white tourists in Cincinnati. And that woman was coming out of a birthday party, and they saw her, and simply because of the color of her skin, that's it. They beat her to an inch within her life. In fact, her beating was, I thought she was dead. When I saw the video, I said, this woman is dead. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, a very good point. Many of you are making it. I'm just going to read one from Larry on Messenger. And Larry makes the point, Jeff, you can't just look at deportations as physical, meaning, Trump can deport, that's $1 million a year, so it's $4 million after his after his second term, his term ends. That still leaves 35 million illegals left in the country. Larry's point is, and it's a very good one, as these sanctuary cities and states are financially squeezed, millions and millions will self-deport. Now, that's an excellent point. And that is very, very true. And that's why I've been saying for a long time, deportations, mass deportations, great, but they're not enough. Hiring an army of new ICE agents, as they're doing now, great, but not enough. Securing the border, building the wall, great, but not enough. You've got to put the financial pressure, cut off the funding, all of it, to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. You've got to cut off the welfare and all the federal money to illegals. And if you do that, that's going to push millions of them to self-deport. And then you're really rolling. Then you're really now... You can see the outflow of people. Now, one last point, because there's so much to this we can talk about. It's like peeling an onion, but this is very important. What is now happening in the Trump economy, you're starting to feel it, the numbers don't lie. Wages for American workers, U.S. citizens and legal residents, are going up. They're going up. And they're going up like by 0.7, 0.8% a month. So that's going to be trust me, you go, what's 0.7? Yeah, 0.7 every month. That ends up being 4, 5, 6% by the end of the year. And then you start repeating, and then the second year, and then the third year, and then the fourth year, and, your wages have gone up by a fifth. So the point being, wages now are going up for American workers. Why? Because illegals are being deported, or they're self-deporting, whatever. So, A, they're not stealing jobs, and B, they're not driving down the cost of wages. So it's what's called tightening the labor supply, if I want to give you a technical economic term. So as the labor supply gets tighter, meaning there are fewer workers available because the illegals are gone, wages go up. Less supply, same demand, wages go up, prices go up. So American workers now are starting to feel it in their paychecks. There is more money take-home pay, and that's only going to continue to go up and up and up. 617-266-6868 is the number. Sal in Framingham. Thanks for holding, Sal, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. We are watching right before our very eyes what the left likes to call a crazy right-wing conspiracy, which is the Great Replacement Theory. They wouldn't be losing their minds like this and doing all this if it wasn't true, because they need to count the illegals in the census. They know that. So this is proving they were calling Tucker Carlson a nut because he pushed it a lot and he talked about it. They were calling him a nut job. But like all other conspiracies that are negative against the Democrats, this one's coming true also.
Oh, Sal, you're, as I like to say, not 100, you're 1,000% correct. And look, you don't even have to, Tucker Carlson is right on this, no question. He's not the only one, by the way, but I'm just saying, yes. But you don't even have to take Tucker Carlson's word or my word or anyone else's word. Listen to the Democrats. Just read the New York Times. Literally. Just listen to MSNBC. They openly say it. This is what they say. America is too white, too European, meaning too many people of European ancestry. And so they say if we're going to make this a left-wing country, we have to import people from the third world. Now, this is the key. Why the third world? Because, and I'm going to ask all, it's not a question of race. I don't care about people's race or the skin color. I really don't. I'm going to pick a country, say Ecuador. Okay? I'm just picking one. Somalia. I don't care. Just take a country. I don't care. You bring them in. They can't speak English. It's not their fault. They can't speak English. They come from some of the most poorest countries in the world, so they have no skills. Their education level is, what, third grade, fourth grade? They're barely functionally literate. So, how are they going to survive? You've just now imported them into the United States of America. How are they going to survive? I don't care if they have the strongest work ethic in the world. You can't speak the language. You can't read. You have no skills to speak of. You have practically no education. You're at a third or fourth grade level. What are you going to do? The only way you can survive is through government handouts. It's not a criticism. It's just a fact. If you're not given public housing, you're finished. If you're not giving a welfare, an EBT card, you're finished. If you're not given free health insurance, you're finished. Even the jobs that they get are given to them by the state government. In other words, you want to be a home health aide. You want to, whatever. They can only do a certain amount of jobs that are as low skill, low education as possible. Again, it's not their fault, but that's just a fact. So, if I'm dependent upon one party for being here, for staying here, for my food, for the roof over my head, for my health insurance, if I have a job, for my job, for the education of my children, I'm going to vote for them all the time. And by the way, it's because people are so dependent in third world countries, that's why they always vote in the socialists. That's why socialism thrives in third world countries. Why? Because you're poor. You've got nothing. You're living in a hut. Your children are starving. You're starving. Guy comes along and says, hey, the government, me, I'll give you everything for free. You want food? You got it. Health insurance? You got it. We're going to build public housing. You want to live in an apartment? Yeah. And that's why they vote for him again and again and again. That's why socialism and communism always thrives in third world societies. So the poorer we become, here, it's not even a theory. Here, look at Zoran Mamdani. What's his big thing that he's running on in New York? It's unaffordable. It's too expensive. People can't pay their rent. People can't pay their childcare. Food is ridiculously expensive when you go shopping or go out to eat. And what does he say? I'll give it all to you for free. And by the way, they loaded up New York. I didn't see this one coming, I have to say, Sal. And I promise I'll give you the last word. I didn't see this one coming. I really didn't. Where they put in so many third world migrants into New York City, and many of them from Muslim countries. I had no idea how many Muslims poured into New York under Biden. It was deliberate. But now you've got a huge third world underclass and a Muslim underclass to boot in New York. Mamdani comes along and says, hey, I'll give you everything for free. And they're going to vote for him. And look, Bloomberg is destroying him. The New York Times is saying, don't pick Mamdani. He's too radical, way too far left, too pro-Hamas, globalize the intifada. They're like, what are you, nuts? You want terrorism in the heart of New York? You want a pro-Hamas, anti-Semite, Jew-hating Marxist in City Hall? In the financial capital of the world? Even the New York Times is telling him, don't go with Mamdani. So, Fox is killing him. The New York Post is killing him. The New York Daily News is killing him. They're all going after him. It's not making a dent in his polls. Why? Because that third world population doesn't give a damn what anybody in the media says. He's dangling free stuff down to, and he knows what he's doing, free bus, yes. Free subway, yes. Government-run groceries. You can go to the grocery store and I will give you your food. That they know. That's the country they fled. That's third world socialism. It's the great replacement. You replace us with a third world population to create a third world country, and that leads to socialism and communism forever. And that's why they love these illegals so much. Because those illegals are their ticket to power. And if you notice, they will do everything for these illegals, including now, they'll hide out in motels and hotels. They'll go to jail. They'll ambush the FBI. They'll riot in LA. They'll attack ICE. They will do whatever it takes. Even defending drug traffickers, human traffickers, it doesn't matter, gangbangers, okay? Trend or Aragua, they fight for everyone not to be deported. Because that's their socialist revolution. And until Trump came along in 2024, they were there. They were so close, they could taste it. And now, at the last possible moment, it's all being taken away. And Sal, that's why they're going crazy. Final word to you, Sal. Is the Kuhner man wrong?
You're absolutely correct, Jeff. And this was started and planned going all the way back to when Reagan agreed with Kennedy on immigration, and he said it was the biggest mistake of his presidency. And that's when they started it. They knew they've been planning this and doing this all these years, and it was skyrocketed under Biden. They knew they had to do it. They knew it. They had the ability to do it, and they did it.
Sal, dynamite call. Sal, thank you for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quick, I want to throw this log on the fire because you need to hear this. Because I'm telling you, I swear to you, if I said it, you wouldn't believe me. Okay, you say, come on, Kuhner, hey, you're just trying to make us laugh a little bit in the morning. Okay, here it is. Okay, this is no joke. Maura Healey, Hold It Healey, who I'm thinking now of maybe re-nicknaming to Moron Mora. I'm serious. Whoa, you'll see what I mean. So, Hold It Healey holds a press conference. This was a couple days ago. Listen to this. In the wake now of what's happening in Texas. And by the way, she had a couple of Texas state lawmakers who are on the lam with her. And she says she's protecting them. Okay? So, she's now, of course, she's outraged. Oh my God, they're going to redistrict and they're going to gain 5 seats in Congress? Hey, only we do that. Hey. So, she then says, Texas, by redistricting, has left her and the Democrats in Massachusetts no choice. They're going to have to gerrymander and redistrict as well in retaliation to what Texas is doing. Listen to this. Roll cut 6, a mic.
Other governors have talked about redistricting in retaliation. Is that something you would consider in Massachusetts?
You know, isn't it a sad state of affairs that that's where we're at, okay? And, you know, Donald Trump, Greg Abbott, Ken Paxton have left us no choice. That's the reality. Nobody came looking for this, right?
Okay, so basically, yes. Okay, now hold on. So she's like, well, yeah, you know, we got no choice now. We're going to have to redistrict and gerrymander. So, you know, we're going to roll out a political map and we're going to gerrymander this gerrymandered state already even more. So listen now to her. She's like, okay, well, you know, we got no choice. We got no choice now. So here in Massachusetts, and they're going to do this in New York and New Jersey and California and Illinois and Washington State and Maryland. So everybody's retaliating now. So they're saying, well, now we're going to redistrict as well. So get ready, because redistricting is coming even here in the People's Republic of Massachusetts. Roll cut 6A, Mike.
We had a system of free and fair elections. We have maps that are regularly drawn, voted on by legislatures, approved and signed off on by governors. This is the way the system works until this comes in. And so, you know, they've left us no choice. It's not where anyone wants to be.
They've left us no choice. They've left us absolutely no choice. So we got to do it. Now, I want to play just a cut or two more. I mean, that's enough. I've made my point, but just hold on. She goes, you know, we're just fair here. That's just how it is here in Massachusetts. We're fair. We want every voice to be heard. And unlike those evil, cruel Republicans in Texas, they want to crush all dissent. You know, these fascists. Listen now to Healey saying, you know, you don't want this to spread, this gerrymandering. But, you know, again, they've left us no choice. Roll cut 6B, Mike.
I can tell you that governors I know, maybe with the exception of this person in Texas, evidently, we want our constituents represented. We want the voices heard. Whether you vote for me or not, I want your voice to count. I want your vote to count. Unlike Greg Abbott, who doesn't want your voice to count and doesn't want your vote to count, nor does Donald Trump, nor does Ken Paxton, because they're proposing to completely rewrite a map out of nowhere to take away the votes and the voices of Texans. And the message is, not only does this have an impact on Congress, which impacts all of America, it also is something that you don't want to see spread. You don't want to see spread. But Abbott, Paxton, Trump, they leave states with no choice.
They're leaving us with no choice. Now, last one, okay? I know she's hard to take. It's like nails on a chalkboard. But just, I know your ears are already bleeding, but please bear with me. Why does she have to continue to gerrymander and redistrict here in Massachusetts? Why? It's about the children. Roll cut 6C, a mic.
I want to make sure that people have access to health care. I don't want to see further cuts to Medicaid or to housing or to veterans or to poor little kids who need to eat. Okay? So that is why it becomes an issue for a governor in New York and a governor in Illinois and a governor in Massachusetts, governors all around the country.
Yeah. Okay. Number one, just for the record, Healy has been trying to shut me down for years. You know, like every voice has to be counted, every vote. So if that's the case, why are you trying to get me off the air? The one thing Healy and the establishment Republicans in this state agree on is they want me off the air. The rhinos in the Mass GOP want me off the air, and these crazy Democrats led by Healy want me off the air. So if you're this, every voice needs to count, really. So why are you trying to censor the Kuhner man and literally drive me out of Massachusetts? You've been trying to shut me down for years. You totalitarian fascist thug, you. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, as for her, the veterans, single women, the pregnant moms, the children, they have no health care. Well, maybe if you didn't give it all to the illegals. Maybe if you weren't giving them $30,000 stipends per family to pay for rent and furniture, $4,000 a month in EBT cards, $500 a month in free food and free cable and free health care. In other words, maybe if you weren't wasting billions and billions of our taxpayer dollars, I'm just saying, maybe, the veterans wouldn't be sleeping on the streets. Maybe poor people would have access to our emergency shelters. I'm just saying. But the coup de grace, as the French would say, okay, the final blow. Ay, 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 is this woman stupid? No, really, ay, 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 this is, and you got to see these moonbats, like Bill and Sudbury. They're working themselves up in a lather. Yeah, we're going to gerrymander here. We're going to show them. We're showing Trump. We're going to show Abbott. We're going to show Ken Paxton. The Mass Congressional Delegation, the delegation we sent to the U.S. House of Representatives, we have 9 seats in Congress. It's 9 Democrat, 0 Republican. 2 Senate seats on top of that, both Democrat, Warren and Markey. What is there to gerrymander? There's not a single Republican seat. Frankly, there hasn't been one in 30 years. I know Scott Brown in the Senate, but I'm talking about in the House of Representatives. There hasn't been a Republican member of Congress in the House of Representatives, U.S. House, in 30 freaking years? So, again, it's 9-0 in the House, 2-0 in the Senate. So 11-0 in total. What is there to gerrymander? Like, what are you gerrymandering? What, you want 0 to be even more of a 0? And then you say, well, Jeff. But no, she maybe means like the state legislature up on Beacon Hill. Okay, even there. There are 40 seats in the state Senate. What is it now? I think, 35-5? I may be off by 1 or 2, but basically 5. 617-266-6868 is the number. Anthony in Nashua. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Anthony?
Good. I spoke to you like a month ago, and now I got you on Facebook. I followed you for many years. I love you, in a non-sexual way. I hope you keep on the air for many, many years to come. I'm going to be sad when you have to retire on me. But anyway, I listen to you every morning on my blogs, and the stuff that the Democrat Party is doing is insane. Like, at this point, they should be arresting the governors, in my point, if you're going to harbor these Democrats. Like, set an example. You know, they say no one's above the law, so let's set an example. Start arresting people, throw them in jail with harsh penalties so that the next generation doesn't make the same damn mistakes. And it's just, you know, I'm a diehard Patriot fan. You know, I love this country, and my teachers instilled a sense of patriotism in me. I'm actually from your neck of the woods. I graduated King Philip in '05. And the stuff that's going on now and the way the kids are being raised and stuff, everything that's been going on for like the last good, I would say 15, 20 years, it blows my mind. I mean, I'm so glad we got a great leader in there that's, you know, really trying to change it around. I believe Trump was saved by God, you know, that I saw him get shot, you know, and I believe he was saved, you know, and he's on a mission. And this is definitely, like one of the other callers said, a fight of good versus evil.
Oh, there's no question. No, and Anthony, look, just to drill down to what you're saying, you're making excellent points, it's insane. Really, it's insane. You've got 50, look, there's always one crazy person here or there. We're not talking about, you know, one crazy lawmaker. That happens to every party. Okay. There's always, you know, I'll never forget this, Anthony, when I was doing my PhD coursework at Ohio University in Athens. And I forget what it was. We were in a class with one of my professors, and he was a brilliant man. I wrote, by the way, the definitive biography on Eisenhower. His name is Professor Charles Alexander. He's retired now. But I forget what it was. Somebody it was a graduate class, and one of the graduate students took a shot. I forget who it was. It was some crazy politician in Congress. And he just said, look, then it was 300 million. Now we're 340 million. But he said, you know, we're a nation of 300 million. He goes, you're going to have idiots. Like, don't make a big deal out of this. In other words, like, we've always had idiots. We always will have idiots. We're a big country. We're 300 million people. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of idiots. So I get that. We're not talking about one lawmaker, two lawmakers. That happens. 50 Democratic Texas lawmakers, led by their leader, their House Minority Leader, Gene Wu. And because you don't like the redistricting plan that the Democrats have done in I don't know how many other states, your response is not to vote against it, to give speeches, to rally opposition, to do whatever you can do as the opposition party in a state legislature. No, Anthony. They hightail it out of there so they can't have a quorum. So literally you can't do anything in the state legislature. The government is paralyzed. It's illegal. They're vacating their seats. They're violating their oaths. They're committing, these are crimes. They're outlaws. They're actual outlaws. And then they're hiding out in other blue states. By the way, all of this being paid for by Beto O'Rourke and his PAC. So it's private money, which is a bribe. It's a bribe. Paying for their private jets, paying for their food, paying for their expenses, paying for their hotel rooms, paying for everything. And they're hiding out in other blue states, being coddled and given safe haven by the governors. I've never, and like in theory, this is what they're saying. In theory, this is what they're saying. No, if we have to hide out for months, like what are you, Jesse James? Oh, really? For years. So you mean to tell me you're never going to come back to do your job in the state legislature? In other words, the state legislature will just stay permanently shut down? Because Texas is doing what all of you have done in other states? As Stephen Miller said last night, he goes, the Democrats, quote unquote, have gerrymandered this country beyond recognition. It's true. They're going to lose 30 seats just by the census alone. That's how much they freaking gerrymandered. 30 House seats. That's huge. That 30 House seats is what you call either a red wave or a blue wave. When, in a midterm or an election, they go, ooh, the Democrats picked up 30 seats. That's a blue wave. The Republicans picked up 30 seats. That's a red wave. And they just did it by gerrymandering. 30 freaking House seats because of the illegal aliens that are counted in the census. So they're hiding out. And they think this is okay. And they're being cheered on. And the governor of this state, this clown, Maura Healey, they're leaving us no choice. Honestly, it's not going to happen. But honestly, I hope the FBI arrests her ass. And, would I love it if she's harboring them in their home? Kick that door down, grab those lawmakers, and arrest her on the spot. But really, Anthony, the inmates are running the asylum. I mean, am I wrong?
1,000% right. Just like you always say, Jeff, you're 1,000% right. And I think we need to go back to only counting the actual citizens in this country. Absolutely. Count only people that should be here. If you're not supposed to be here, you shouldn't be counted. You need to get the hell out.
Anthony, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. I mean, this is surreal. You know? I mean, really, the only thing missing is for these Democrat lawmakers to have, like, black hats, like in the old Westerns. And these marshals and FBI agents to have, like, white hats. Like, that's the only, like with a badge. I mean, that's the only thing missing. And then they're, like, what, in the middle of downtown Boston, with the boots and the 6 shooters on the side. And it's like high noon. We're going to settle this mano a mano. Joining us now, as she always does at this time, the co-founder, CEO, president of Kelly Financial Services. And yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. Retirement should be about peace of mind, but too often people head into it carrying silent risks like running out of money, market drops, health care costs, or waiting too long to plan. At Kelly Financial Services, we've spent over 20 years helping people retire with clarity and confidence. Our team of fiduciary advisors meet one-on-one with clients every day to create personalized plans that reduce risk and bring real peace of mind. That's why I wrote Retire Your Fear, Plan Your Future, a practical guide to help you spot real risk and take smart steps to avoid them. It covers Social Security, long-term care, income planning, and how to build the retirement lifestyle you really want. To get your free copy or to speak with one of our advisors, give us a call or email kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I'll continue this conversation tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or visit our website for the Radio Rewind. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you, Kelly. All the best to you and everyone at Kelly Financial. To get a free copy of that guide, and I urge all of you, if you can, do get it. Call now, 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881, or you can actually email Kelly herself personally, kelly@kellyfinancial.org. That's kelly@kellyfinancial.org. 9:35 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Debbie in the great state of New Hampshire, the Freedom State. Live free or die. Thanks for holding, Debbie, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. I just had a thought. I know that you're probably tight with the president, or some people in his administration. That analogy that you made about going to expecting free housing, free food, free health care, free. Why can't somebody go on TV and hold a press conference and say the same exact thing that you did? I mean,
oh, Debbie, say no crap, no, no, whatever. Please just don't swear, Debbie, because that's technically considered profanity. And anyway, so I know the libs get away with it all the time. They do it on the broadcast networks, but I can't. On cable news, they're always using the S word. Just say no excrement, no poop, no crap. But please, Debbie, continue.
So basically, the public should have, hold a news conference and actually have people hear that common sense analogy, and they'll be like, no kidding. I mean, they would kick us out so fast our heads would spin. I think they just need to hear something that simple, that common sense.
Well, I can just tell you this, Debbie. Stephen Miller makes this point over and over and over again. He does. He lays it out, forgive me, puts it down the way I do. But he's an exception. I agree with you. I don't know why. It's not that complicated. It really isn't. And, even here in Massachusetts, you've got Republicans now running to be governor, to challenge Maura Healey. And there's so many ways you could attack her that would attract independents, many disaffected Democrats. She's extremely vulnerable. They refuse to do it. And really, Debbie, ultimately, it's a question of will and it's a question of intelligence. And most people think that they have to, it's a sign of insecurity. When you say your lawyer that you work for says keep it simple, stupid, keeping it simple is actually a sign of self-confidence. You don't need to show someone you're intelligent by using big words, fancy language, complex jargon. But in Washington, and I'm telling you, I've having it for 10 years, politicians are the most insecure people you will ever meet. In fact, I have a theory. It's not original. A lot of people have said this, but when I look at a politician, 9 times out of 10, there's a few exceptions, but 9 times out of 10, you can tell they're running for office not because they care or they want to give back or quote unquote public service. You can tell they have a personal issue. You can see it on them. I don't know, mommy issues, daddy issues, a profound insecurity, whatever it is. But they're dealing with complexes, inadequacies, insecurities. And they think that somehow by winning elective office and getting that kind of public validation that those insecurities will go away. It doesn't. It doesn't. I'm telling you, it just doesn't. And so to compensate, they'll try to, seem very smart. They'll try to use words that people don't understand. Nobody talks like them. And so they think, well, if I use the bigger the word, the more jargon I put in, the smarter I'll come across. I'm like, no, you're not coming across as profound. You're coming across as obscure. You're confusing people. People don't understand what you're saying, and you come across like a real phony. And if you notice, the key to Trump's success, he's comfortable in his own skin. I mean, really, in life, it just comes down to this. He's comfortable in his own skin. And he'll talk simply, and by talking simply, he talks effectively. Because everybody understands what he's saying. And he says what he means, and he means what he says. But no, Debbie, you're completely right. For the life of me, Miller does it. I know Steve Bannon, who's not part of the administration, but Steve Bannon is very good at this. He will lay it out. Here's what illegals get. Bang, 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 bang. Is that right? Is that just? Is that fair? But people in the administration, no, they have to give a speech. And it doesn't work. It goes over people's heads. People get, people are like, what is he saying? What? Like, you're making it too complicated. It's not that complex an issue. It really isn't. So, look, you're right. I'm a big believer in speak clearly, speak simply, speak frankly. 617, directly. 617-266-6868. Ray in Virginia, the Commonwealth. Thanks for holding, Ray, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, long time. You lost a stake to me many years ago over Hillary Clinton. I'll bet you a stake to a hot dog that they will reelect Maura Healey. Massachusetts has terminal cancer.
Ray, I can't take that bet, man. Because you're going to win. You'll win the hot dog, you'll win the steak, you'll win the whole thing. I'm afraid you're right. Ray, let me ask you this. And I know this is pie in the sky, but if you could just indulge me, Ray. Say we had a good, decent, honest, serious Republican candidate who would really prosecute a case against Healy and would run a good, tough campaign and would just lay out how she's destroyed our state. Simply, clearly, effectively, no apologies. Would that give you hope that maybe she's beatable?
No chance.
Now,
No
why?
chance. I told you, steak. I'll bet you 2 steaks to a hot dog.
No, I'm not. Ray, Ray, you're winning the bet, my friend. But no, Ray, why? Is it, you're saying even if you have a great Republican candidate, there's just too many moon baths. Is that what you're saying? There's too many crazy left-wing lunatics in this state, correct? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go back to Ray in Virginia. Ray is desperately trying to get me to bet with him. I don't blame him. He's going to take me to the cleaners. All right, Ray, let me ask you, okay? Again, let's dream. Let's fantasize a little bit. Say Trump and Homan succeed and they deport every single illegal alien out of Massachusetts. Okay? The People's Republic. They get rid of them. Every single illegal. And you get a phenomenal Republican candidate. And you get a candidate that's not afraid to really take it to hold it Healy. Do you still think Massachusetts is a completely lost cause?
Yes, they're like robots. You ever see the line of Dunkin' Donuts for the water? Jeff, you haven't been around long enough. Massachusetts has been like this since I was a kid. But I called about 2 points.
Yes, go ahead, Ray.
Okay, number one, you said that we were going to go broke over the illegal aliens, everything free. You're wrong. Every working person, sucker, that's listening to this is going to pay more in taxes. Our taxes will go up, the fees will go up, the fines will go up, and everyone just keeps paying it. Number two, here's a way. So take everything away. That'll get rid of 50% of them, and I'm going to tell you how to get rid of the other 50%. Make it a federal crime to give any one of them a job. That's how to get rid of the other half.
Oh, in other words, you're saying don't just deport them, hit them on the other side, on the employment side as well. Correct, Ray?
That's correct. Make it a federal crime. Make it a felony.
Ray, before I let you, I agree with you completely, Ray. Ray, before I let you go, you say, I haven't been here long enough. You got to be here decades and decades and decades. What is it about Massachusetts? No, really, seriously. What is it? The political culture is so left-wing, so entrenched, so unmovable, that they just blindly vote for the Democrats no matter how much they're screwing you. They just keep voting for them. Really, honestly, Ray, what is it? What do you think accounts for it?
Okay, see, when I said you haven't been around long enough, I'm a victim of it too. In my house, every room had a picture of a Kennedy. My family was brainwashed too. They just pound this in them. Every station, 4, 5, 7, and then CNN and MSNBC came along. I have some very smart friends that just have no common sense. It doesn't matter what you show them.
Interesting. Ray, thank you for that call. And by the way, you're right. No, really, you are. You're right. 6-1, I've met many of that, like that. There's a very nice woman, a good friend of ours. Very smart woman, nice woman, kind woman. We used to take care of our kids, but kind of a mini daycare, and just blind loyalty to the Democratic Party. I've never seen anything like it. And it goes back to the Kennedys. She was reared on the Kennedys, and she just can't get it out of her head. 617-266-6868. George in Berkeley. Thanks for holding, George, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, George. I'm good. How are you?
Hey. Good. So I just wanted to make a comment on the gerrymandering. I was a selectman in my town for 13 years, and Trump won all three times, about 60-40. Most of the surrounding towns as well. But Berkeley is part of the same congressional district as Brookline. Are
you in the fourth?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in my district.
It's insane.
Yeah, George, you're in my district.
I know, and it's absolutely crazy. We have Berkeley, Freetown, Dighton, Lakeville, Middleborough, Rehoboth, all pretty conservative towns. In fact, in Berkeley, we have one of the very few state senators and one who just got elected recently, and one of the very few state representatives that are both Republicans. Yet we have no representation at all in our congressional district. This guy, Auchincloss, he called me begging for support when he was first running, and I listened to him, and I told him I was a big Trump supporter, and he was civil on the telephone. But this guy doesn't represent us in any way, shape, or form. And to make matters worse, on a local level, we were always conservative, and now we have new selectmen after I left that they're extremely liberal. I'm talking about far left liberal, and they're profoundly trying to change our town, especially with this MBTA housing crisis and all this garbage that they're forcing down everybody's throats. But when I hear Healy talk about about how unfair it is, with respect to what Texas is doing, it almost makes my head explode. It's like, what are you talking about? These towns in Massachusetts that are conservative, hardworking, blue-collar, mostly workers, have absolutely no representation congressionally and very little, if any, on the state level. So, and the GOP, as you said many times, they're garbage in Massachusetts. They're not doing anything about it. I ran for state rep back in the early 90s against Ron Mariano, the Speaker of the House, when I was in my 20s out of Quincy. That guy, that buffoon, he's been in it forever. He has a war chest of about 500,000. I think he's faced one opponent since the early 90s. They're just so entrenched. As Ray was just speaking, I have to regretfully say I agree with him. You could have the best candidate in the world run against Healy, and the brainwashed people of the state will vote for her again. And it boggles the mind because it's so much against virtually everybody's interests, except a very small percentage of these special interest groups, but they will keep doing it over and over. I toyed with the idea of trying to run for Congress, but I couldn't win in a million years. I couldn't win in a million years.
And you're, just to add, I can only add to what you're saying because you're 1,000% correct, George. Look, and see, that's what I mean. They take conservative towns like yours. I wouldn't say mine is, it's 50-50, literally 50-50, but whatever, a purple town like mine. And they lump them in with Brookline and Newton and these other huge Democratic strongholds. So it wipes away the conservative vote, so we don't get any congressional representation, but it keeps guaranteeing that Democrats keep winning. And that's how they've gerrymandered the state, 9-0. And, and she's going to go out and complain about Texas?